Hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today we are going to be taking a look back into CanAm's history and some of the questions that I've been asked recently about the safety of the Spyder, about riding safety, as far as a high side, a low side, that sort of stuff. Also, we're going to start out with looking at some of the craziness that happened in the history of the CanAm Spyder, and I think that once you know it, you'll be able to answer questions that people may have about the Spyder because they may have only seen this negative information. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to play a little news clip right here.
Safety alert for people who own and ride CanAm Spyders. They're the three-wheeled motorcycles marketed as for stable. More than 100,000 of them have been sold. But a Jacksonville man says they have major problems. His caught fire on I-95 as he was traveling to see his family. He spoke to Channel 4's Vic Michelucci about his brush with death.
This was William Morales' 2010 CanAm Spyder. It's a modified motorcycle that he says is supposed to be safer because it has two wheels in the front and one in the back. But he told me as he was heading from Jacksonville to Connecticut, he had issues in North Carolina when his brakes went out. Then the bike caught fire and exploded.
I was making great time, had the cruise control set at 75.
But Morales' trip was soon cut short.
I smelled something funny, looked down and had a brake failure light.
Then this.
Next thing I know, I'm looking down and there's fire at my feet, smoke coming up.
He says he tried to pull over, but his brakes wouldn't work. So he rolled off into the grass at about 50 miles an hour. So you thought it was so dangerous that you had to ditch it. You had to jump off.
I had no choice. I had no brakes. I had no brakes whatsoever.
He got off just in time.
The bike blew when I got about 40 feet away.
How big was the explosion?
It was massive. It wasn't just one. It was several.
He took this video right after. Look at the flames. His bike ruined. Morales survived, but is still feeling the pain.
We've done a good bit of research on this, and this has been a known problem by CanAm. They've had some recalls. It clearly hasn't fixed the problem.
And we reached out to CanAm, the company that makes the vehicles. They did release a statement in the last half hour that says BRP is not aware of the incident in question. The customer should contact his dealer or BRP's customer service department so that a proper investigation can be conducted. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has investigated fires on Spyders before. We're waiting to hear if they'll launch a new investigation due to this latest claim by Morales.
Wow, so how you like that? It's pretty crazy, huh? Yeah, that thing caught on fire. Or it could look like this. That doesn't look too good, does it? No, these things did catch on fire. These were the twin-cylinder engines, and they had some issues with them. So make sure if you're buying an old Spyder that you do your due diligence and you make sure that the recall work has been done. So let's talk about the fire risks and fire hazards of motorcycling in general. I've taken a few notes here. There was a recall of 7,100 Spyders globally. Actual recall, okay? From 2008 to 2012 due to an ill-fitting fuel cap on 33,700 Roadsters. They replaced an ill-fitting fuel cap. Make sure that you got that fixed. From 2008 to 2010, there was a fuel canister hose that was leaking a gas or leaking fumes, and it had the potential of starting a fire. And so that affected 9,600 CanAm's. And in 2013, they had a tandem master cylinder and brake fluid was leaking out of that and creating the potential for fire. The U.S. Safety Council investigated all this. 52,000 CanAm's were investigated. Of that, there were 103 complaints and two fires. Now, you would think that that's a lot of hoopla over 2 fires. There were obviously more than 2 fires. This is of the writing of the article that I read. I just showed you 2 other fires, so we know there had to be at least 4. But is that something that you go, man, I don't trust Can-Am after that? Well, if that's the case, then you can't trust the exotic, beautiful motorcycle called the Ducati Panigale, because a lot of the Panigales have caught fire. In fact, in 2018, here's a picture of a Panigale burning and the aftermath of it. So even those. Do you know that 24,000 Indian motorcycles were recalled from 2014 to 2017? Indian had to issue a stop sale notice. Did you know that? Due to motorcycles having the potential of catching on fire. So this is not something that just affected Can-Am. Now, as Can-Am grew and BRP discovered these problems, the problems were resolved. They were fixed through recalls. And from the research that I've done, there was no loss of life in any of these situations that occurred. So just make sure that your recall work is done. But the Spyder passed. The idea that, this machine has never had a problem or that it is not real is just a lie. It is real. They did catch on fire and it was a real problem. So the next thing I was asked was, can you flip them? Well, I'm going to answer the question like this. Yes, you can. If you don't believe it, watch this. Now, I know what you're saying. That guy's a knucklehead and he did that on purpose. And you're right. What I will say, though, and this is something that I've seen, and I believe that we're going to see more of this. As I was doing my research for this particular episode, I looked for everything I could find for Can-Am accidents. There are quite a few out there. The guy's name, I think, is like King Joffy Joe 413. If I can, I'll put a link to his video. He hit a bale of hay and damaged the front of his Spyder. And him and some friends, and he talks about in the video how he doesn't ride this way anymore because he could have really hurt himself. And you know what? I think that's amazing. I think that's great when you have a guy that goes out and rides a certain way and he goes, you know what? That was not very responsible of me. I'm going to get hurt. I need to quit doing that. And that's what he said. I think that's pretty cool because he's telling you, don't go out and do this, and I'm not going to do it anymore. But I do believe that as with the growth of the Ryker, which I would consider the sport bike of the Can-Am line as far as three-wheelers are concerned, you are going to have people riding them more aggressively. And the more you can break that back tire loose and you can drift them, and you're going to have more of that. You just are, because people are going to play. I'm one of those guys that does some irresponsible things. Now, obviously, the Spyder doesn't really allow me to do a lot of that stuff because of the way the Spyder is designed. So I was asked more about the Spyder. But I did want to make it clear, though, that the Ryker is a Can-Am three-wheel vehicle, as the F3 is as well. Getting those two, the Ryker and the F3, up on two wheels, I don't think is a real challenge. I think it can easily be done, and you could certainly flip it. So let's talk about flipping, what that means. Now, when you're riding a motorcycle, a two-wheeler, we'll say, there are two types of accidents. There's a low side. This is a low side. And then there's what they call a high side. I'm going to run a montage of high sides up over here. In fact, I may just let them run over me while I talk. High sides are very violent. They're when you're sliding sideways on the motorcycle and the back tire all of a sudden grabs the ground and throws the motorcycle vertically and then throws you up into the air. It's called a high side. They're very violent and they're very, very dangerous, and you can get hurt really, really bad with a high side. If you're going to do something on a Can-Am, the question is, Can you high side one? We know you can't low side it. That's an impossibility because you can't lean and slide sideways. But could you high side it? Really, the guy that was being silly earlier on the Spyder in the leaves, that was kind of a high side is what that would be. So I would think that, could you high side it? It's possible, but you really got to be trying to high side it. You're not just going to go around a curve and high side. So where is the danger of the Can-Am Spyder? If you're not going to low side, and you're not going to high side, and you're not unless you're just being irresponsible, then where is the real danger? The real danger is just approaching a corner to where you're not capable, due to your riding skill, to make it around that corner. And you've misjudged your speed. You enter the turn too fast, and you can't keep it on the road. And you go off the side of the road and you roll it. You flip it. That's where you're going to flip the Spyder if you're going to. I don't believe that you're just going to be going around winding roads and that you're going to flip the Spyder. I've run the Spyder really, really hard. I've never even come close to flipping it. Now, if you have, you can share your story in the comments below. You can send an email. I'd love to hear your story. But I want you to know that the Can-Am Spyder is very, very safe. Now, all motorcycling inherently is dangerous. Jumping out of an airplane is inherently dangerous. Driving a car is dangerous. Living your life is dangerous. There's associated risk with everything that we do. So don't think that, well, I ride a motorcycle and I do it responsibly, I'm putting myself in too much danger. You're really not. I mean, if you're wearing the gear, if you're wearing your helmet, your gloves, and your jacket and all that stuff, which is another thing. If you do something stupid, or you do lose control, let's say you do enter a turn at too high of a rate of speed, having a full face helmet, the boots, the jacket, the gear that you need to be safe is certainly going to greatly decrease your risk of suffering a more serious injury. So the Can-Am Spyder, the three-wheeled machine, yeah, a little bit of a checkered past. And they came out with the 1330 Rotax. That was a game changer for them. And all of a sudden, things did start to change. You didn't see a lot of the problems associated with the Spyder. I knew these things before I bought my Spyder, and it did not keep me from buying one. I looked at the two cylinders because there were a lot of really good deals to be found on the twins. But I decided to go with the 1330 triple. I just did. I felt like it was a better format. It was just more solid. You did not have the heat issues that were associated with the two-cylinder. So whether you have the twin or the triple, you need to make sure that all of your recalls are all buttoned up and everything is in order. And you can rest assured that if it is, that you are riding a safe motorcycle. Now I'm going to tell you this. This is another thing that when I went out there and I was looking for Can-Am accidents. I have seen a few. Of the accidents that I've seen, virtually all of them, now I'm not going to say all of them because there are always exceptions to the rules, but virtually all of them were in regard to one of two things: approaching a curve too fast to where they ran off the road and hit something, or they cut the corner too tight and had a head-on collision and died. You have to realize that those two front wheels are sticking out wide, and that left front wheel here in America, or in other parts of the world, that right front wheel can creep over into that other lane, and if you're come whipping around a corner and there's a big truck over there or a big car over there and you have a head-on collision with it, you're probably not walking away. You have to take those things very, very seriously. Curves on motorcycles of any kind, whether it's a two-wheeler due to high siding, whether it's a three-wheeler due to losing control and rolling it, or having a head-on collision with another vehicle. Those are bad, bad things, and you don't want them happening to you. So there you have it. a little bit on the fire side of the Can-Am, a little bit on the high side, low side, rolling part of it, the safety aspect of it. It is much safer than a two-wheeled motorcycle. And all of the stats back me up on that. So if you are thinking about buying one and your big concern has been, is it safe enough? It's as safe as you're going to get if you're out on a motorcycle of any kind. It's absolutely as safe as it's going to get for a motorcycle. Also, if you would do me a favor, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. We have crossed that 3,000 sub mark. I ordered some ShadyRays Sun Glasses and the post office lost them. I've got some more coming in. Soon as they're here, we'll be doing a 3,000 sub giveaway and look forward to doing that. That's cool as well. Got some other things coming up, some cool trips. Might meet some new friends that you might get to see on some of the weekend videos, that sort of thing. So, I want you to do me a favor. Go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and we'll talk to you real soon.